next morning, when I woke up, I didn't know what to do, so I laid there, just staring at the ceiling, asking myself, why? Then I was surprised to hear a knock at the front door. I got up and opened it to see that the 2 officers from yesterday were standing there, except it was the same female officer but different male officer. It was not the same man because the one from yesterday was much shorter. "Hello, Miss Series. May we please come in and ask you a couple more questions?" she asked me. "Yes, and please don't call me Miss Series. Please call me by my first name, Leslie." She smiled and I opened the door, showing them that they can come in. "Sorry about yesterday. I didn't realize what had happened to your parents." She looked at me, while her and her partner were both sitting down files on the coffee table. "You know what happened to my parents?" "Yes, and since you were a suspect, we were supposed to look through your files, and I saw. I know losing your parents is hard and all. You know, I lost my parents at the same age as you did, but that's what inspired me to become a police officer," she explained. "Well, you make it sound like everyone loses their parents." I looked out the window behind them. "So, what did you want to ask me? I'm sure you didn't come here for anything. For nothing." I smirked. "You are correct. We didn't. We just want you to answer a couple more questions. So then, let's continue. We were told that you and the victim had problems and that you once beat her up," said the male. "That was false. She said I did, but it really never happened." After I said that, he had an angry look on his face. "Next question. Do you know anyone else who would beat her up or do this to her?" I thought. "Well," I said, "she wasn't the nicest girl in school, and she was clearly only taking a liking to certain people. But I'm not sure." I got up. "Would you guys like something to—" I was cut off as the man suddenly pointed his gun at me. "George, you put that down right now. The girl hasn't done anything wrong," the female officer yelled. "What? Sympathizing with her? Just because she's a poor little orphan like you doesn't mean anything," he said with anger in his voice. He looked up at me and said, "Listen here, you little bitch. That girl you killed, she was my niece, and since you did that, I'm having you put away for a long time." "I didn't do anything," I said. Then the female officer pulled out her gun and aimed it at him. "Put it down," she yelled. He didn't. "Don't fucking test me!" He finally dropped it. She handed me her card and got the files off the table. "My number's on the card. If you need anything, call me." Then they left. I walked up to my room to see Jeff sitting on my bed. "Hello, Leslie," he said with a little grin. "So you have been here long enough for when I had a gun pointed at me, and from when I said my name, and when that gun was pointing at me, you never thought to fucking help?" I had a bit of anger in my voice. "I couldn't, remember? They are cops, and I am a serial killer." Whatever. So what'd you come here for anyways?" I asked him. "Well, I was in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd stop by and say hello," he said as he walked out of my room and downstairs. Okay then," I said, a little weirded out. He walked through my kitchen and opened my back door, walked out, looked around, and said, "You know your backyard is basically the woods, right?" "Yeah, I see a lot of creepy things at night." "Like what?" he asked. Like, there was this one time I looked out the window and saw a tall man with no face. Actually, that was the last night I saw my aunt, come to think of it. Oh, that's interesting, he replied. He had a concerned look on his face. You know, sometimes I can't tell if I'm dreaming or not because I thought I saw Link from that one video game one time. I walked to the swing set and sat on the swings. Another time, I saw a small little girl swinging on here. She was cute, but she was crying blood. I got this bad feeling from her, so I stayed inside and didn't help her, and eventually she left. His look grew worse. Really? Yes. Actually, I hate being here alone because, you know, just all the creepy stuff going on, and I can't stop my aunt from leaving when she does, I said, looking at my feet as I swung on the swing. I can fix that. I'll stay for tonight, he said in a soft voice. It's okay, you really don't have to do that. I'm fine, no need. I was surprised, and I said it like I was surprised too. Listen, Leslie, you just found out that your parents were murdered right in front of you, and you are alone. You can't say that you're not sad. Can't be sad about someone you never remembered. You're right, but you are sad, and I know you are sad because your emotions get to you, and that's what causes you to kill. He smiled. Fine, you can stay, but I don't want to have this conversation. Okay, good. His smile grew bigger. Later that night, we sat on the couch eating popcorn and watching scary movies. None of us really got scared because we're killers and all, but we still had fun watching them. When the movie was over, we turned back on the lights. I sat back down on the couch, and Jeff sat next to me, staring at me. Can I help you? I smiled and said with a little silly tone in my voice. Yes, you can. He leaned in towards me. I need you to promise me something. What is it? I also leaned in towards him. Don't go into the woods without me. It's not safe. Why? I whispered as we got closer. Because it's dangerous, and I don't want anything to happen to you. You are too important to me, and I don't want you to get hurt. After that, we began to come closer and closer. As our lips almost touched, I thought to myself, what am I doing? He's a killer, and I am too, but that's not the point. Suddenly, I saw a white van pull up next to my house, and when I turned to look, Jeff kissed my cheek. Hey, he said, backing up. Shh. He gave me a weird look. Look at that van, I whispered. He looked at it. No one came out, though. Jeff quickly grabbed a piece of paper and wrote on it and gave it to me. On it said, "Don't talk. That van is a police van used to spy. He can hear everything. I have a plan." As me and Jeff laid in complete silence, all I could do is nothing but wait and hope that his plan was going well and that nothing would go wrong. We were laying in my bed like we were going to sleep when me and Jeff heard someone enter into the house through the window downstairs. Then Jeff whispered, "It's showtime." We both crept downstairs. Watching the officer look through my stuff, I turned on the light. He stared at me, aiming his gun. He was about to shoot when Jeff came behind him. Jeff then held his knife up to the officer's throat and said, "You are a good officer. You sure know who's guilty for who's in trouble or not without much evidence. But even a good officer gets stressed out, and it seems pretty You seem pretty stressed yourself, so you should just go to sleep. Jeff had slit his throat. Shortly after that, we heard the officer's walkie-talkie go off. It said, "You fuckers are done for. I saw everything. And there's already backup coming." Jeff and I looked at each other wide-eyed, and I ran up to my room, packed my bags, because Jeff said we had to hide, and he knew somewhere we can go. So I hurried and packed everything I needed. Then Jeff and I escaped from the back door as we heard police sirens coming up to the house and began to go into the woods. And I said, "Why are we going in here?" Because honestly, I was scared. He replied, "Trust me, we'll be okay." And off into the woods we went.